So now we've got everything updated. We're at 10,000 for a Bitcoin today. So like here, I bought, this one and this one with Binance Bucks instead of Bitcoins. But if I click here, and I'm just gonna, I'll toggle my keyboard up and down here between these. But look up here as we're doing it. There's no difference between the column B there. There's no difference between column C. There is a difference in column D here, and I'll come back to that. There's no difference in E, no difference in F, coming across like you have to manually fill these ones. There's no difference here. There is a difference here, and there's no difference there. So there's a difference in column J and column D, I believe. And the only difference between Binance Bucks right here and Bitcoin is the fact that you have to multiply it by its Binance Bucks to Bitcoin conversion. So you need to, that's an extra step. That right there converts it to Bitcoin if you do it on paper and add it out. So if you have anything, the same thing with Ethereum, you would be, instead of multiplying it by cell I4, it would be, in this case, cell I9 right here. Just make sure that your conversions work out. If that if that conversion didn't happen, you would obviously see, like 8,000 Bitcoin is what you've got in there, and no, you probably don't have 8,000 Bitcoin in lumens right now. You're missing a conversion in there somewhere. To keep going, I'll make a different video about the black rows. That way I can explain them more in depth. I'll put some math in a different tab off to the side so I can show you what I mean. This is a cash out value calculator. Blockfolio and some of the other ones, they do it differently, and I don't like it. That's why I built this particular calculator. But again, that's for the future. We brought everything in. You can also go to here, funds, balances, right click, and you're going to open a new tab. And so that's another one of the steps in the process there. When you open a new tab, it's going to come up here. If I click on this, it's going to have your estimated Bitcoin and your holdings and your estimated dollar value and those sorts of things in there. That's just what it does. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to necessarily show you what I have in my personal account, as I wouldn't want to know exactly what's in your account. But when you do this, and you're going through here, you need to highlight this information, and then you click on this next tab here, and you're going to hit the refresh button when you're on it, because this information that you just took is a snapshot. It's constantly moving, not by a lot. This is a couple Satoshis worth of information at the end of here, but you need to have your other values updated. That way, when you get over here and you paste everything in, you can see at the bottom down here exactly if your present value matches your what Binance says you have. And you're going to be off by a little bit, because when I pasted this in and when I hit refresh here, these columns here for Bitcoin should match up. But maybe they're off by a little bit, kind of thing. So you may be off $1 or $2 down here. If you're off by tens or hundreds of dollars, you have some sort of math error up in here. Clicking through these, they're not too terribly difficult to understand. The portfolio percentage is, I have, this amount of Bitcoin worth of BTS over the total amount of Bitcoin that I have. So it's giving you a percentage, and then within that, I've just color-coded them to make it look like, oh, hey, the ones that have a bigger number are greener, and the ones that have a smaller number are redder. Format, conditional formatting, you can go in there and look at it and play with it. I'll explain it in a different video. Portfolio change is just where you started and where it's at, and the change. So if I do this divided by this, it's going to be 100, 102%. So I want to subtract off 1, so it's actually 2%. The same thing here, it's that 2% in dollar form, so you can see how much you gain there. 24-hour low and high here is if this is near its, if current price is near its 24-hour low, this will say yes. And if current price is near its 24-hour high, this will say yes. If both of them, and in some cases it does, if both of them say yes, it just hasn't moved enough and I don't have an example here. But if both of them say yes, it just hasn't moved enough in the last 24 hours to show you one or another. I don't really use this for much, but because the info was here, I paste it in anyway. I made some columns to show things. So there's that for you. These columns will be manually typed in on your own. So I want you to watch some of these over here. I guess especially this one here. So if I have request tokens, instead of 50, I have 200 of them here. And as soon as I hit enter, that's going to change. So 2,000. And maybe I've got 5,000 of these tokens. And it's changing these columns here. And it's also changing, I'm gonna undo this, but if you watch here, it's going to change how much you've gained or lost within those as well relative to its current price and that sort of stuff. And then going back and redoing things, present value and return on investment, all of the numbers, everything in here updates automatically. This one here, yeah, so clicking on this one is just a sum of everything in the column above it. And the same thing here for the Bitcoin. It adds it up there so you can check. You manually type in your initial investment, how much money you've thrown at this idea so far, and here's your return on investment. So you can see here, this is going to be 3,400 divided by 3,200, and that's what it's spitting out here. Minus 1, of course, on the end of that. So it's not 105% showing, it's just 5% showing. So in this case, if I've got 2,000 request tokens at today's rate and combined with the current Bitcoin value and where everything else is at, it's going to spit out a number for you. The experiment coin value. So if I bought in at, and this is just me, this is just my number. I bought for this example, 6 tokens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at $25 a piece. I wrote out here in my comments. And obviously this isn't $25 for the request token anymore. But I had that added up down here, and we'll put that, I think that was at 50. We had that at 50. So for this particular thing, I bought in $150 worth, 25 times 6, and it is now worth, if I cashed out today, $107. And so I've lost that much on the initial and that sort of thing. If you're in the negative here, here is the Bitcoin value needed for break even. So if Bitcoin is 12,612, if it gets up to that point, all of the rest of the values are going to go up as well, because I bought, the Bitcoin is the exchange on these. So all of the values will go up, the US dollar will go up, and so if 12,612.20, if it hits that point, this will be 0. It'll be a break-even number. If your return on investment currently is in the hundreds, like just stupid up there because you bought back in 2009, you're not going to need this break-even necessarily. So if I manually, I'll just go up and type in 12,612.20 here. 12,612.20 and hit go. It updated all of the values, and scrolling down here, that's the exact number that I needed to bring this back to 0. So it matched the initial investment. So I'm going to undo that so it goes back to whatever it's at right now. Information that was pasted in here goes here, and line it up properly. Make sure that it's like it is. If I had any comments of my own, I just made them pretty colors and everything and set them off to the side out here. No particular reason for everything. This is maybe where I wanted to sell them. I have the blue in as I'm going to sell them when it hits that value. I just want to get rid of it at that point personally. Some extra things I had off to the side. Alright, so same as the first video here. I'm going to scroll down here, and hopefully you will be able to click on one of these here. Click on move to tutorial video, 1 out of 3, to move backwards and see the first video that we had. If you are done with the second portion of this, move on to the last part of the tutorial where I show you how to update values when you buy and sell, and kind of go through and how to modify some values in there as well a little bit further.